It has been 2 years, but it's about time for another Let's Talk Idle. Today we're going to talk about NGU Idle. Now, I've played this game for a pretty long time, as you can see on screen, and after about 3.5 years, am I ready to beat this game? Absolutely not. I'm still maybe a few months away from actually finishing this game because this game has an end. But let's start from the beginning. So Let's Talk Idle, in case you're new to this, is a review show where I just go very quickly through what an idle game offers, how good is it, what sort of things does it have that maybe aren't the best, and yeah, just give my general thoughts about it. So this is NGU Idle, one of the golden standards, I would call it, of the modern idle game. A lot of people probably already know about this idle game, but in case you don't, it's out on Steam. You can get it on Steam. It was on Congregate before, but Congregate isn't really a website anymore. So NGU stands for numbers going up, and as you would expect from the name, numbers going up, this entire game is, as idle games usually are, about numbers going up, but this game takes it quite far with how many different kinds of stats there are in this game that have numbers attached to it that go up over the course of the game. So instead of having just one or two very specific numbers like money in most cases that you want to go up, in this case there are many different stats that you want to increase to the maximum as much as you can. If you just start a new game in NGU Idle, what you will find is this screen right here, the basic training, where you just have different kinds of skills, but what the skills actually are doesn't really mean too much. The only important part is that training any of these skills gives you more attack power or more defense power. Why would you need attack power and defense power? Well, because you're gonna fight bosses. Fighting bosses in this game is really just you have an attack and a defense, the enemy has an attack and a defense, and you both have some HP, and then you press the fight button, and depending on how much damage you do and how much damage the enemy does, you both take damage, and one of you is gonna lose. One of you is gonna have the worst stats and is gonna lose. Now, there are 300 bosses in the game on 3 separate difficulties. So this game has a total of 900 bosses on it. But this is only a small portion of this game. This game has a lot of stuff to it. This is just the very first 2 tabs, and as you can see, there's more than just 2 tabs in this game. So this is what I would say, what makes this game the golden standard, and is probably the most important part about this review, that what makes NGU Idle so important is just how many facets this game has, and how every single aspect this game has cross-references each other, and most importantly plays into just making you stronger, making your attack and defense and HP and just your core stats stronger to kill more bosses. And you can see how many different tabs there are in this game, and all of these are important. All of these matter to the overall gameplay. Some more than others, but let's quickly walk through it. You will, over the course of you playing this game, you will of course do some prestiges, right? You will rebirth, as it is called. When you rebirth, you have this central stat called the number. It's just the number, which is just a multiplier to your attack and defense, which goes up and up and up the more you rebirth. However, it only goes up if you've defeated more bosses than last time, and also based on some other factors. You can see how many factors there are here, but keep in mind you can actually go backwards on your number if you do a really bad rebirth. Okay, but the main point is you reset a bunch, you prestige as you are used to in most idle games. You prestige to get bigger numbers, to kill more bosses, then you kill more bosses, and then you prestige again to kill even more bosses, right? But the further you go, the more bosses you kill, you unlock more different aspects of the game. And the most important part that you unlock is the adventure. And the adventure is just a whole bunch of different zones where you will fight randomly generated enemies. And some of these enemies will be bosses. And bosses can drop items into your inventory, and you can equip these items. They'll give you bonuses, and of course they'll give you bonuses to your attack and defense and your HP for your boss fighting, right? So once again, plays into the boss fighting. It makes you stronger for the boss fighting. But it also gives you a bunch of other bonus to be stronger during the adventure itself, and the further you get in the adventure, the more powerful items you can get, and the more powerful items you can get, the more strength you can get for your boss fighting. Nice. So you can see this feedback loop of like I can fight more bosses, but then I can get more items. With more items, I can fight more bosses. And then you unlock more stuff, and the more stuff you unlock, then you can fight more bosses again. And you can kind of see where this whole thing gets rolling. A lot of idle games out there have very few central mechanics. Like here's this one central mechanic where you get a bunch of money every second, and then you buy something and you get more money, and then you buy something and you get more money, and that's the whole entire game for like multiple hours. You play this game for days, and that's all you ever do. But in this game, every time you get a new milestone in bosses fought in this game, you unlock a whole bunch of different stuff that completely transforms everything that you've currently done. Like for example, in your inventory, you also get a whole bunch of other bonuses for other aspects in here. So the adventure and the items you get from the adventure buff everything else you do in this game. And this everything else includes stuff like augmenting your attack and defense specifically with special equipment stuff right here. You get advanced training, which gives you even more bonuses. You get a time machine, which generates money, which is important for a whole bunch of other stuff. Like the money you generate from the time machine is used in a whole bunch of other different aspects in here. You have blood magic, which requires a different resource. So all the way up until now, you've used only one resource. And this resource is something you spend on your training, which makes your stats stronger, or your augmentation, which makes your stats stronger. You can kind of see where everything is going. And then you get a secondary resource, the magic, for blood magic, which gives you different kinds of bonuses from these different spells, like a drop chance for better items, a gold bonus for more gold, a better rebirth number so you can rebirth stronger. There's all of these different, like I'm gonna keep going, but you can see how all of these different systems sort of grab into each other and interweave in many different ways of all buffing each other in meaningful ways. And that's, I think, the main part of what makes NGU Idle such a strong idle game. It's just how much there is to this game and how much everything is important to each other. Because I know there's also other games out there, there's other idle games that have many different options. Many different menus, many different facets to it, but you probably will notice that in all of these other games that do try and also branch out to many different menus and tabs and aspects will have some aspects that just don't matter at all. That just have absolutely no use whatsoever, or the use is so small that it really doesn't matter, and you just don't care about it at all. But in here, almost everything here actually matters. You have the one deuce, which is another system that you can dump your resources into to more specifically increase your attack and defense. Who would have guessed, by spending your leftover resources. You have more specific bonuses, like more specific targets. Like I want to specifically increase the goal or specifically my adventure power, that you can dump resources into and make them stronger. There's also, what else we have? Fruits that grow over time, and each individual fruit gives an individual bonus. You can spend your leftover gold on specific bonuses. Like, I'm gonna stop here. I'm really gonna stop here because I'm gonna keep going with all these different systems that are. You can just see how many systems there are in this game. Okay, and none of these are useless. Some of these systems are systems that after a while you don't ever look at again. Like this, for example, the Beards of Power is a system that your leftover resources get automatically dumped into the system that gives you bonuses. But after a while, you can activate every single one of these, and you just never need to look at this menu ever again. It just automatically works by itself. Like you never even look at, like I'm looking at this menu right now for the first time in maybe a year. Not even kidding, like this system is completely pointless after some point. But that is only after a while. When you first unlock this system, you will be trying to micromanage your beards in specific ways of trying to actually get a good bonus that you need at the time. And this is another thing. You can get a whole bunch of cool stuff from this game by actively playing. The main reason why I've spent 3.5 years and haven't reached the end yet is because I'm like 99% playing this game on idle, not actively playing it. But if you actively play the game, what you would usually do is you would rebirth a lot more often. Rebirthing can give you a lot more bonuses if you do it at strategic times, instead of just not rebirthing for a really long time, which is what I often do. I don't rebirth for like an entire month, which is bad. You should do that a lot more often. But that's also another thing. You can play this game many different ways. Like you might see some idle games where if you don't play actively, you basically can't do anything. You're basically completely locked out from ever progressing in the game. While other idle games, even if you play actively, you can't really influence how the game is going to progress. You basically have to just sit there and wait for hours, at which point you just close the game and maybe hopefully it has offline progress. If not, well, you're screwed. But this game does a really nice job of, you can do a bit of active micromanaging, or you can just let it sit idle and it's going to be completely fine either way. It's going to be completely fine. But of course you get more out of it if you are more active in your endeavors. But yeah, there's a lot more systems, blah blah. The only system I think is probably not a good system is the very last one, cooking, which was introduced very late as I think the developer just promised that this system is going to come into the game at some point. Even says up there the meme is finally read, so what kind of meme that cooking is now going to come into the game, and then it did, and then it's pointless. Like, it's not completely pointless, but it's so annoying to actually deal with this system, no one actually does it. So now that we've talked about this for such a long time and I've gone over the core concepts of this game, what is the actual thing that the actual verdict that I'm going to give the entire game? Well, as I kind of said at the beginning, this is kind of the gold standard of idle games. Because idle games, sometimes they have too few systems, and you play it for like a few minutes and you feel like you've already seen everything and there's not really anything else to uncover. While for other idle games, you might feel like when you uncover something new, it doesn't really matter. Like the new thing you just got doesn't really have any impact on anything. So there's also another thing that might make you just quit the game immediately on the spot. But this game does a really nice job of like telling you, hey, there's more stuff around the corner. You can fight stronger bosses. When you fight stronger bosses, you unlock new tabs. But even after you've unlocked new tabs, there's different difficulty levels with different challenges that also unlock new stuff, which unlock new perks, unlock new bonuses in all these different menus, which unlock more bosses to fight in the adventure menu. The only thing that I can really say that might be a little bit negative about this game is that the adventure menu might be too important. Like, the progress you make in the adventure menu is a lot more important than almost anything else in this entire game. Like, sure, the regular boss fights are the things that unlock more stuff, but once you've unlocked a whole bunch of stuff, the only meaningful progression for the long term will come from the adventure, will come from fighting more and more stuff in here, getting more and more good drops, stronger items, all that kind of stuff. So maybe there is a little bit of an over-reliance on the adventure in the long term. But aside from that, there's not really too much negative I can say about this. You could have pointed at the time I spent on this game, like 3.5 years on this game, and I haven't reached the end yet. But on the other hand, like I said, I'm playing this game idle. I boot the game up once a day. I do a handful of clicks to do like the daily stuff for just like less than a minute. It takes like 30 seconds. And then I close the game again. 30 seconds a day. That's why I spent 3.5 years on this. And for that, I think it's totally fine. Because every few days, every few weeks, months even, sometimes depending on where I am in the game, I unlock new stuff, I see some cool new stuff, I know I'm making progress, I always make tangible progress, and that's a really nice feeling to have. So overall, I would say definitely give it a look. It's out on Steam. There is an in-game cash shop. However, the in-game cash is a resource. It's called AP, arbitrary points. You can get these AP by just playing the game normally, and I have basically bought out the entire shop. I bought all these as well. I've basically bought everything there is to buy in this game without spending a single dollar. So yeah, you can clear the entire premium shop without spending a single dollar. It might take some time though. But you can totally do it. It's not required to actually buy stuff. And also, just between us, the stuff you buy in here, some of the stuff is really important, but most of the stuff in here really isn't that important at all, and it's really just some bonus that you can just skip and you lose absolutely nothing on, okay? So just prioritize what is actually important, and you probably won't even notice a difference between playing with paying money or without paying money, and you'll be absolutely fine. So yeah, overall, definitely give NGU Idle a shot. There has been a follow-up to this game called NGU Industry, which I have a lot of positive things to say about as well, but also a lot of negative things about, so get ready for NGU Industry very soon. But yeah, this is the start of Season 2 of Let's Talk Idle. I'm not gonna give ratings to these as in like numbers or whatever, because I hope I can just convey with words what I think about these games. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and I'll see you guys next time.